Las Vegas. It's pretty loud. Can you hear the microphone?
I can hear it.
Great. I'm here today with Meredith Perry, founder of UBeam. I should start with a disclosure, which is we actually funded you.
That's correct.
So don't expect softball questions today as a result of that.
That's fine.
I think the topic we're supposed to cover today is big ideas. How do big ideas get funded? How do you dream up big ideas? And what's happening in Silicon Valley when a lot of app companies are getting funded? And I think that's what they want us to cover. Is that all right?
That's completely fine.
And I just might start with, what the hell is this? It's like Mission Impossible over here.
If I tell you, I'd had to kill it.
I know, but let's see in the box, because you brought something.
Should
here.
we show them?
Yeah, let's show them.
Okay.
But we can't make this one big advert, so let's get it going.
All right, let's get it going. All right, inside this case.
I'll hold that for you while you
thank
pick
you very
the
much. We have UBeam's transmitter and receiver, except I don't think anybody knows what UBeam is yet.
Okay, but you'll show them, you'll tell them.
So right here is what will be charging all of your phones within the next 18 months. So this goes on the ceiling or on the wall or on your table. And this goes on your phone. And you'll just be able to lift your phone in the air and charge your device without a plug, without an outlet or anything like that.
So this will be the last bit that's an advert, so we should switch to talking about how big ideas get funded. In effect, what you're doing is transferring energy using ultrasound.
That's right.
That's a pretty big idea. How old are you? Or do you talk about that publicly?
I'm 25.
You're 25, okay. And how and when did you come up with this concept that a lot of people thought wasn't possible?
I came up with the concept when I was 21, so when I was a senior at Penn, and I was standing in my dorm room with my 15-foot laptop wire thinking to myself, why is it that our wireless devices are still using wires? And so, after thinking about that issue, I wondered, okay, well, how can we beam energy through the air? And then I went through every possible type of energy that exists on the planet, everything on the electromagnetic spectrum, and realized that the only type of energy that could be commercialized while remaining safe and small and et cetera is ultrasound, which is high frequency sound. So we send that through the air, it vibrates your phone case at a frequency too fast for you to feel, and then we convert that vibration into electricity and it charges your device.
And so here you are in college, you come up with this idea. How did you build some sort of prototype, or how did you get people to believe that this was even possible?
Yeah, so that was very difficult, and that still proves to be difficult, even though we've already built it. So initially, I purchased 2 ultrasonic transmitters and receivers, these tiny things that you could get on the internet, and I proved that over about a centimeter, you could beam a tiny amount of power. And so that was enough to prove to me, at least, that the concept of ultrasonic power was possible. And from then on, I kept building larger and larger versions and adding more and more experience to the team.
And you actually entered a business plan competition, right?
An invention competition.
Invention, so tell me about that.
Yeah, so I entered the Penn Invention Competition with this technology. We won the competition, and that's really what kicked off UBeam's history.
And one of the early, let's say, media successes you had is you ended up demonstrating on the stage at All Things D, which is now the Recode conference. Tell us, how did that happen? I mean, something like that can catapult you to the next level. How did it happen?
Yeah, that was pretty bizarre. We got contacted by Walt Mossberg, who runs the D conference, and he asked us about a month before the conference to demo on stage. And he said, if you can build a real version of your technology, a real model of your technology, you can demo on our stage in approximately 3 weeks. So I was like, okay, we'll do it.
And you didn't know who Walt Mossberg was, right?
I did not. I didn't Google him because I didn't want to get nervous.
Yeah. And so one last thing, and then I want to talk a little bit about how we as venture capitalists see ideas, how we see big ideas, how we decide what we fund. But from All Things D, after that, you turned around and you raised money, just under $1 million. And you raised it from some people I'm guessing most of the people in the room have heard of. Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, Mark Cuban, Tony Hsieh, Marissa Mayer, a couple other people, maybe
Little
they've heard
no-namers.
of, no names.
Yeah.
How does I guess at the time you weren't 25, you were probably 22.
Yeah.
How does one do that?
Well, you basically give yourself 2 months, or you tell yourself that you're going to quit. So I gave myself a timeline, and I decided to contact some of the most ambitious people that I had ever read about and harass them until they gave me money. And that's what happened.
And you harassed them via email. Did you get introductions? Did you stalk them backstage at conferences like this?
Stalkers, I had pigeons, different animals that no, I'm just kidding. No, I cold emailed. I tried to guess everybody's email address 9,000 different times, emailed them through that. I emailed different people at the fund to try and get introductions to them, and I knew that as soon as I could just get a face-to-face, then I would win them over. And so luckily I did.
I might start with one thing, which is talking about what I think gets funded. And I'm not talking right now in terms of concept. I'm going to talk in terms of person. So when we're talking about an angel round, a seed round, or an A round, the thing you need to realize is they're mostly funding you. And if they're asking you for detailed metrics, or they don't think you have enough traction, or they're not persuaded, what they're mostly doing is finding an easy way just to say no. And that's the truth. And I see businesses all the time, founders will come to me and they'll say, I just don't understand how I can't raise money. How do I show traction fast enough that they'll give me money? And I said, it's not a traction problem, it's a narrative problem. And what I mean by narrative problem is this. You need to create an idea that people think is worthy, transferring wireless electricity, a worthy idea. You need to have the right skills and background that people believe that you're capable of pulling it off. You need to have credible plans for what you hope to achieve. You need to be able to persuade people why this is better than alternatives in the market. And then the last thing, and this is really where I want to pick up off what you said, Meredith, is you need what I call polite persistence. Sometimes people call it, well, sometimes it's not polite. No, polite persistence, otherwise known as chutzpah, is another term for it. But the people that I have found who really get access to investors just never give up. It's like Patty. When Patty wanted to build Web Summit, and initially everybody told him, no, I'm not going to go to Ireland. Man, that kid is persistent. If he's nothing if not persistent on emails, on messaging, on intros. And I want to tell you why that matters, and then I'm going to go back to Meredith, which is it's so hard to break through. It's so hard to get the press to cover you. It's so hard to get people to give you money. It's so hard to hire good talent. It's so hard to get biz dev deals or sales deals or any of these things. And that skill of being persistent, of hustling, of not taking no, of being persuasive, of getting past the gatekeeper is the key ingredient, I believe, of what it takes to build an extraordinary company. So when you see entrepreneurs trying to get access to you that way, you know, that's why it resonates so much with us. Has that been your experience?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, this company should have died about 15 times over already. We haven't even launched yet. So, you know, it really takes that almost delusional mentality where you just will not accept failure. And you know, in this case, I really do actually believe that we will take over the wireless power world, but you absolutely have to think that, and if there's any doubt, then it'll come through, and you're not going to perform as well, and it's that kind of grit and determination that you need to succeed.
I call it naive optimism. You know, it's not accepting that failure is an option.
Yeah.
And the older one gets and you realize how hard it is to achieve anything, the more jaded you become and you realize what can't be done.
Right.
And I'm looking for people who don't see the world that way, which is one of the things that inspired me about you, is, you know, your can-do attitude, your inability to accept that no is even a possibility. Now, when we talked about what you're working on, and we even published some of what we're doing, there was a fair amount of skepticism, wouldn't you say so? Like, why do you think that skepticism persists?
Well, I think a number of reasons. One is that this is a completely new technology, and When new things come into the world, most people are afraid of them, or they don't believe it's possible, or they don't believe it's going to work. Some of the things that we do every single day, or the things that we use every day, were once considered absolutely crazy, like electricity. People didn't think that you could actually use electricity. They thought it was too dangerous. They didn't think that you could go on trains because you would vomit from looking at the world moving way too fast as they go, as you travel inside of it. And so, people are just afraid of things that are foreign to them.
And I think to some extent it's what we're hearing now with driverless cars.
Yeah.
Where people just don't believe that driverless cars can exist, even though the data shows that it's likely to be significantly safer,
right,
and more cost effective and cleaner for the environment.
I trust a robot over a human every day of my life.
So, hard ideas, here's the problem with hard ideas is, as venture capitalists, particularly in today's world, things that work faster than they have worked in human history. And there's a reason, because we've gone from 1995, about 50 million people on the internet, to about 2.5 billion today. We've gone from a world where people were connected on 56K modems to 20 times that speed in the Western world. We've gone from a world where in India there's more mobile phones than there are toilets, more people with mobile phones than toilets, and where people are socially connected, so when good ideas work, they spread faster. And as venture capitalists, because you're able to look at the data and see early signs of success, if I take some obvious examples, Uber, Airbnb, Dropbox, these products that you can see scaling in revenue so quickly that maybe the industry is attracted to chasing that money. Hard ideas, it turns out, take a long time to deliver. So we've got a really long research and development cycle.
Right.
Am I allowed to say how many patents we filed on this?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, so 22 patents filed.
Right.
First 2 awarded, 6 more in the near term, 22, we believe, in total without prior art. But it turns out it takes time. And I think that time equation is what scares off a lot of investors from making bigger bets. The interesting thing, Meredith, to me is if this works, and you would say when this works, and I'm a VC, so I say if this works. But for me, this is like Wi-Fi. It would be as pervasive as Wi-Fi. So if it works, this is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Right.
And if this doesn't work, I can only lose one time my money. So.
Well, you're probably not going to lose your money anyway because we have alternate plans, so you know that.
So it's always good to know you have a plan B.
And a plan D.
But I do point that out a lot, and I think that what's happened in the hard sciences is don't discount, this is going to sound terrible because I know a lot of libertarians will hate this, but don't discount government grants. Don't discount a lot of the programs like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who will also give you private grant money. We funded a company in Santa Barbara called Appeal, whose ambition is to figure out how to help the world conserve water through elongating the amount of time that fruit and vegetables last before they spoil by taking organic compounds from the stem of the plant, spraying them on the plant, and the plant gets about 2 weeks extra life. In the developing world, you have about 75% spoilage of fresh fruit before it's eaten. In the US, it's close to 40%. And if you could extend it by a couple weeks without herbicides and without pesticides, you dramatically cut water consumption. Now, the only reason I point that out is I look at this company, and we gave them the first $500,000 or so, and then we gave them more money after. But they raised a very large grant, part government, part Melinda Gates Foundation type money. And it turns out that actually this can be very useful as a bridging period before you need venture capital.
Absolutely. And, as something that I would say to all the VCs in the room and in the world is that, big ideas like this need your help. I know it's really easy to invest in quick flip technologies, photo sharing apps, things like that. Nothing against them or anything like that, but they can turn around very quickly. But if no one had believed in this technology that we're working on, and if nobody funded then it wouldn't exist. And this is something that I truly believe will positively impact every person in this room's lives. I'm sure half of your phones are dying right now, or half of you have batteries connected to your devices and want to plug them in. But, making that big bet not only makes a huge difference for the entrepreneur and new technology, but ultimately for the world. And so thank you, Mark, for allowing this to happen.
Well, one other thing that I've noticed in hard sciences, if any of you guys are doing, you may not have products in the category, but, since we're talking about big ideas, one of the things I've been excited about is watching the corporates step in. So if you look at Google and some of the big bets Google's making, and increasingly the big companies are worried about things like energy conservation or energy consumption, either in the data center, or if Facebook wants to get its 2 billion users, it's going to have to solve problems like mobile telephony, access, electricity. So, the likes of Facebook and Google and Microsoft even now making big bets in harder problems, I think is going to fill in a little bit of the gap. And what has been the reception from corporates? Are they skeptical? Are they believers? Are they interested in talking to you?
Yeah, so, initially we were told by a lot of venture capitalists, you've got this big chicken and egg problem. You're never going to get these big corporates to buy up transmitters without people buying receivers and et cetera. And what we found over the past couple years is that we don't have that problem at all, because every single massive company that you can think of, whether it's, big search company or big electronics company, each company has their own wireless power division. They're already on it. And these people are searching for just whatever the best wireless power solution is. So luckily, we came into the market just when people decided they needed it.
I would tell people also, whether it's a hard sciences problem or a big idea, or whether you're just building what you might consider evolution of an industry, or even what maybe people would describe as a lightweight application, do your research. When you go to talk to venture capitalists, find out what they funded in the past, find out how active they are, find out if they've funded in your sector. I'm so surprised how many people turn up that have almost no idea what you actually fund and don't fund. And we're pretty specific on what we'll fund, and I find most people are. And if I bend it back towards hard sciences for a moment, there are people who are really, like Vinod Khosla, Khosla Ventures, very focused on this category. If I look at agriculture technology, which isn't something most VCs fund, we've set up an entire practice around ag tech. We've done 3 deals, and we're looking at potentially closing the 4th. If I look at stuff that maybe might sound more frivolous, Meredith, I invest a lot in online video companies. I've done 5 of them. And a lot of Silicon Valley VCs don't fund online video. And I'm not saying that makes me better or worse. There's a lot of Silicon Valley stuff I don't fund. But just know your investor, I guess, would be my feedback. What was it like approaching me? What's it been like dealing with me? We'll close out with this.
It's been horrible, and I can't wait to get off this stage. Just kidding.
And I wasn't trying to tee you up to say great things.
No,
Just like, what's the experience like?
The experience,
for people who
the experience
would wonder.
is actually really positive. And when you get to a stage where you have to raise a large enough round, you have to choose board members at that point, because your lead investor is going to take a board seat. And for me, my biggest decision around who my lead investor was going to be was who is going to be sitting across from me in the boardroom, and who's going to be making those decisions with me. So that particular partner at the particular fund was more important than the fund itself or what they've invested in before or anything like that. So I was specifically interested in you, Mark.
And how often would you say we speak?
We speak about 5 times a day. I talk to you more than I talk to anybody on the planet. And you sincerely have been the largest value-add investor that I've pretty much ever worked with.
I appreciate it. I wasn't searching for that, but more to say, like, when you have strong investors, you'll be surprised. In my experience, they're usually available evenings, weekends. The thing I like is that if I text you at 7 a.m., you're actually up.
I'm always up.
You're like, Miss Early Riser. But really, that's, I think, what you're looking for in an investor. There's a lot of discussion about angels and seed money and are VCs relevant. I promise you, if someone's doing 50, 100, 150 investments, they can be helpful, but it's a different kind of help.
Right.
And our kind of interaction, I think, is quite important to early stage companies.
Absolutely.
Good. Well, I hope we've given you a little bit of a taste of Meredith at UBeam and taking on bigger ideas and raising venture capital and getting ideas off the ground. So thank you very much.
Thank you.